Welcome, everyone. I am Chris Gore. This is Versus. Today, we're talking about the American Society of Magical Negroes. We're going to get started. Let's get going. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have some amazing special guests. They're going to be joining me for this conversation. Alan and I talked about it. I think a lot of people did reviews, but it's worth a group conversation. So let's kick things off. We're going to look at your chat comments and questions as we appreciate it. And here we are. Let's go. Trying to find the video to play that I got to play at the top. Oh, here it is. Rock on. Let's go with Versus. Well, look at that. We made it. Wait, I'm going to rearrange this. I'm going to put myself on the bottom. I'm going to put Alan and I both on the bottom here.
Yeah, the underrepresented group.
Yes, yeah, exactly. We're putting in order of, wait, I'll just switch with Alan here.
Oh, the order of what?
What? Or in order of privilege, we're going to go. So I'm way at the bottom. I'm way at the bottom. But I did want to ask something as it relates to privilege. It was just recently St. Patrick's Day. I don't know if you celebrate. I never miss it. I am part Irish, about 20%. I'm wearing a little themed shirt with it. And I will say this. I saw a lot of different types of people at my local bar that I go to. Dante knows what it is, the 35er in Pasadena. I saw a lot of people wearing green, almost everyone wearing green. And I have no problem with it. I don't care at all. I love it. I love it. Appreciate St. Patrick's Day. Look, we're celebrating our alcoholism. Let's be fair. But I wonder, would anyone be offended if I wore this? If I wore this on the show? I've got this. Here it is. Just got this thing here. This is what is this called? It's called it's like a Dothraki. Isn't that what it's called?
Dashiki.
I knew it.
I was like, I know he's got one somewhere. Don't act like he doesn't. You know.
Yeah, exactly. But like, so this, if I wore this to see the movie we're about to talk about, I probably would have been in trouble.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
maybe.
Easily.
Yeah.
Depending on what theater you went to.
Chris, it depends on who you're rolling with. If you're rolling by yourself, yeah, it might have been a problem. But if you out with, some brothers, you might be okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Or if you're in an area that's all white, you'd be okay.
Yeah.
or that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
Take dimension on how woke you are.
yeah.
As long as you're not taking a knee after you wear it, you good.
Yeah.
But I literally, I love it when people celebrate St. Patrick's Day. You know, I mean, I love it. You wear green. That's all you got to do. Whatever. Everybody's in a good mood. People are drinking it way too early in the morning, which I think is my mistake. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun. So it's weird to see that there's always you do have to kind of dance around rules of like, this is acceptable, this isn't acceptable. So I don't know if you had any thoughts on that before we actually talk about the movie. Did you drink green beer? Did anyone here drink green beer?
I didn't drink any green beer. I didn't have any green beer myself. I did drink, but it wasn't green.
I agree. I had Irish whiskey. I had stouts, but no green beer.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'm not 5% Irish like I am. I didn't drink any beer at all.
But you're 5% Irish?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Yes. Love it.
I don't know what I
am.
And
not all from slavery, just saying. But
yeah, I have no idea what I am, but yeah, I don't drink. So I was like, oh, it's St. Patty's Day. Cool. Well, if somebody tries to pinch me, I'm swinging on them. So I just stayed home mostly. Yeah, I probably got some Irish somewhere in me, but I don't know. I haven't taken one of the 23andMe tests to find out. I don't really want to know. That's really what it comes down to.
Look, any holiday where we celebrate drinking, you automatically become that thing, right? Cinco de Mayo, everybody's Mexican, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Lunar New Year. Hey.
Yeah, everybody's like, oh, what holiday is it? Yeah,
remember drunk
Kwanzaa, Juneteenth, just join in and drink.
Oh, yeah. Believe me, if there was a black holiday where everybody was drinking, guarantee you everybody will be black and drinking Hennessy.
Dante, that's every holiday out there, man.
Or Crown Royal.
Every holiday we
Pretty
get
much.
drunk. You know that.
All right. Before I do, I'm sorry I didn't do intros. Let me get some quick supers in, or there's like a couple chat comments, and then I'm going to intro everybody. Because we're long. I'm too excited to do this one. I'm too excited. But let's see. Owen Knight for £5 says, be honest, did Chris diversity stack the panel so you could get a pass to drop the N-bomb while reviewing?
Wow.
No, I think it's important. I think it's first of all, I want to see, like, I don't think the black community came out and supported this movie. And I think a lot of
At all.
I don't think the community came out to support.
I don't know. Anybody got to watch this movie.
Eric July made more money on Yaira than this movie made at the box office in 1,000
real
theaters.
talk.
So there you go. But a couple quick things here. Skiz Spivak, Esquire, gifted 10 Film Threat memberships. Join us as a member. Lots of new videos in our members only section, including a video I shot of Sydney Sweeney. Dante, you were there with me. That was a lot of fun. We were about 6 feet from her. It was great.
She is a tiny little thing.
She's tinier than I thought. Yeah, she's a tiny girl.
Yeah.
Gravestone says, looks like Chris is the token white guy. A lot of times I'm the token white guy, especially when I go to like the 35er. I'm pretty much always the token white guy. I don't care. It's fun. And Mexican Iron Man says, rock and roll people, today is going to be a good one. Thank you for coming. Make sure you smash that like button. Appreciate that. All right. And the panel is surprisingly white. Mike got to go, says Malik Gurley too. Wait,
always,
really? What?
They always call it the light skin. It's a thing.
There you go.
All right. Well, let's pick me out the crowd. Yeah.
Let's introduce everyone, starting with the lovely Lorena Creole.
Hello, I'm Lorena Creole, of course, bringing you that spice and salt to pop culture and sci-fi analysis, and I keep it real when it comes to theme parks. And so excited to finally be on Versus. So thanks for having me, Chris.
All right, DA.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA. It's exciting to be here. Chris is a cool brother. I loved hanging out with him that one night. Hope to hang out with him again in the future. Excited to be on Versus, hanging out with the Film Threat crew. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Chris, for bringing me on. I appreciate the opportunity. This is awesome. I can't wait to talk about this wonderful show, or this wonderful movie, Magical Negroes. It's going to be awesome.
All right, and Epic Mike.
Hey, how's it going? Glad to be here. I'm Epic Mike. Been talking with Chris for a while about coming on the show, hanging out. So glad to be here. I'm not really excited to talk about this movie, but I very much appreciate that Chris was willing to say the word, even though he straight up said Magical Negroes. Okay, let's move on. I appreciate it.
Oh my God.
So yeah.
Let's get going. Let's do it. And Dante.
What's happening, guys? Dante from Verbal Riot. You all know me, man. I don't need an introduction, but my show is back, and I just dropped a video a couple of days ago on this very movie where I kind of get into it, and I'm looking forward to this panel, to be honest with you, because I want to hear what other black people have to say about this shit. I mean, this movie. Sorry.
Yeah,
you were right the first
We're
time.
9 minutes in.
Sorry. This movie.
Speaking of black people, Alan.
Yes, I'm here to represent the underrepresented on this show. That's my role.
And you all know me. I'm Chris Gore from Film Threat. So let's get into it. But before we do, I have a special message before we start, because I want to get everyone's opinion. We're going to go around the horn. I want to get everyone's sort of capsule review to kind of set the stage, and then we'll dig into it.
On March 15th, a movie will be released by the name of the American Society of Magical Negroes. The movie will be reviewed by Chris Gore and his guests of experts on the show, titled Versus. Let me just say, to quote President Biden, if you do not like this movie, you are not black.
Wow, look at that. Look at that endorsement.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I just lost my black
says it
card
all.
just like that, huh?
Yeah. Obama snatched
You and
it
me
from
both.
him, yeah.
Man.
What's weird
Man,
is
film thread's getting huge now, man.
well, it's weird. Obama actually does follow me on Twitter, which is strange. But I think he follows like tens of thousands of people, so I don't feel special at all. But there you go. Who wants to go first? I just want to hear. You've heard from Alan and I, and we'll weigh in. But I want to hear from everyone around the horn. Lorena, maybe you can kick it off and tell me what you thought of the film. I mean, I've been watching a lot of reviews, other reviews, but want to hear your take.
Well, I did put out a video review of this movie. I do not believe this movie is suitable for anyone to see. And it's an insult to Black people. It's an insult to white people. It is an insult to you as a movie viewer for you to sit through, who is this, 90 minutes of absolute incoherent tripe. And to put it in a nutshell, if my uncle, who of course he grew up during the 60s, if he would have saw this movie, one, he would have wanted to walk out the first 5 minutes the same as I did. I did not want to stay there. He would basically say, so you mean to tell me this small group of uppity Negroes is responsible for keeping the rest of us supposedly safe? I don't think so. To hell with that. It is.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous.
I think the biggest problem that is recurring in every review I've watched is people don't like the premise. The premise, the premise at its core is flawed. And then the other thing is they just don't like the lead actor. I thought he was fine in Dungeons and Dragons, Justice Smith, but he just seems it's almost like it's about him, right? Him as an individual, and he looks a lot like the director. I wonder if you had any thoughts on that.
He looks exactly like the director.
Right.
I'll go next.
Yeah,
one of my major issues is, and I've been saying this for a while now, when it comes to film and comedy, it's just not funny. And that's the biggest problem I have with it. If you took this same idea and you made it funny, and like the movie was actually funny, and they poked fun at all of this stuff, and they really went all the way to the wall with the humor and just blasted everything in regards to this race conversation when it comes to, how Black people deal with white people and white people deal with Black people. I think you could have had a lot of fun with this. And they didn't seem like they had a lot of fun. It seems like they took it too seriously. I started thinking, me and my friend were talking about this. What if the Wayans brothers did this movie? What if the Wayans had did this movie? I mean, this thing would have been, they could have done an amazing job with this. Imagine if the Wayans brothers had this same concept, and they probably would have did a completely different movie, but it would have been amazing because those guys are legitimately funny. And that's the problem I have with Justice Smith. He's not funny. He's like a straight man almost. And it's like, there's no comedy to be had in this movie. And if you're going to insult people, and if you're going to insult Black people, insult white people, okay, just go all the way with it. Insult everybody and make it funny so that we can all have a good time and laugh at how ridiculous this concept is. That's the reason why this movie doesn't work, is because, number one, it's just insulting people. And if you don't make it funny and you're just insulting people, then it's like you're preaching, and it's kind of like you're just slapping people in the face. It's really what it is. So they're slapping Black people around, saying, oh, you guys just kind of cater to white people, and that's what you feel your role in life is. And then for the white people, oh, you guys just use these Black people. It's just terrible. The entire premise is terrible. But like I said, in the hands of a real comedian, what happened to the comedies? We need comedies again. That's the biggest issue I have with this, is that, back in the day, we had guys like Steve Martin and Chevy Chase and Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor. We had like comedians, real comedians. We haven't seen a good comedy in I don't know how long. And so that's my biggest problem with this, is that it should be hugely satirical comedy, just poking fun at everybody, and it does nothing. Okay, it's just slapping everybody upside the head and preaching to us at the end with this long, annoying speech.
Lord.
Oh my God, that was the worst speech at the end of this movie. And it's like, are you kidding me? This is what you did with this idea? You know, Jordan Peele, give that to Jordan Peele. Let Jordan Peele run with that. It would have been better.
DA, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but somebody told me about the magical Negro fight, which was a skit by Key and Peele. I saw that and dropped it in my review. I was laughing for I don't know how long because they went all the way with it, and it was just straight up funny.
You know why, Lorena? Because Jordan Peele understands comedy. I don't know this guy Kobe Libby or whatever he says he's, you know, comedian. I don't know if he's funny, you know, but based on this movie, this guy is not funny, and this movie needed to be funny. If you're going to touch this topic, you got to be funny. Okay, you got to make us laugh. You know, I have to be just in the theaters just laughing. There was no laughter in the theater. I went and saw it with like me and my homie and like 8 other people, and there was nobody laughing in the theater. So yeah, that's the biggest sin, is that a comedy is not funny, but it's broaching this crazy topic. You got to be really funny if you're going to pull this thing off, and that's my point. They didn't pull it off.
Just to kind of piggyback off of that, I actually said the same thing in my review. I said, you know, what if this had been given to like a Richard Pryor or a Paul Mooney or Dave Chappelle? You know, like what if in the hands of a more, well, first of all, an actually funny comedian, but also someone who understands the culture, this would have been a completely different movie. And it's not like we don't have movies from the past that we could look at. You know, we have movies like Hollywood Shuffle. We have movies like, you know, Fear of a Black Planet. You know, we had, we have movies like, what was that other movie I was thinking of the other day?
Don't Be a Menace.
No. Oh, Bamboozled by Spike Lee.
Oh, yes.
Bamboozled was like we have had better examples of this movie before. And so, so like there's really no excuse to why this couldn't have been a better film. Because the sad thing is, in this film, there is a good film in there somewhere. There's a good film in there somewhere, but it's
100%.
But it's wasted.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I thought of is, what if you had made David Alan Grier the protagonist, and you know he's this world-weary do-gooder. He's been doing this his whole life, you know, and now he's found love and he's willing to burn the entire system down for the love of his life because, you know, she sees this or he sees this as just, you know, utter nonsense. Like, and David Alan Grier is a guy that, in my opinion, has been funny in the past. He's a, you know, accomplished, you know, comedian, actor. So you could have maybe switched the roles with him and he would have been a better protagonist than Justice Smith. Justice Smith just isn't funny. And that's the problem. You know, you need somebody that has, you know, comedic timing, that can deliver the lines promptly and really bring that character to life. And he's just like a dead fish, you know, the whole movie. I'm just like,
okay, but in all fairness, was he supposed to be funny?
It's a comedy. He's the lead guy. I mean, in my opinion, that's what would have made this a better movie. If
it would have been if it was better written, of course. But I don't think he was also better funny, which is the problem.
Well, he was that too. Yeah,
I mean, you're setting up the idea that he's the straight person in a cast of characters who are funny, and that just didn't happen. You know, my theater was surprisingly full. It was a 50-seater. The first 2 rows were empty, but it was full, and I would say half of the audience was black. And you know, honestly, they laughed at any time they made fun of white people, but I kind of liken that to, you know, back when comedians not so long ago were just saying, you know, Trump's a racist, and people would laugh. That's kind of the laugh you got. Yeah. You know, it's just pointing out something weird. But in terms of the story itself, there was nothing funny about it. No one was laughing at it. And the thing that bothered me the most about this movie was the fact that all of Aaron's inadequacies, all of his weaknesses, he blamed on white people. Yeah. You know, he felt awkward. He felt alone in a crowded room, and that was because of white people. I'm like, that's not an emotion directly given to black people. Everyone feels that way. Everyone feels awkward at times. Everyone feels they don't belong in the crowd at times. And to say that and to blame it on something else rather than make it a character issue for ourselves to grow from it means that you're never going to grow and mature as a person. Yeah. And I felt sorry for it. And I think that's a reason people don't resonate with this movie, because again, you have to buy into the plot. And this is not something you can buy into, and I think people are not taking the bait.
And also, if you notice, he didn't have black friends either.
Mm-hmm.
No,
it's not like he had black friends, right? This guy was just a loner. So all of his issues had nothing to do with white people. It was just him. Those were just his issues.
And let me tell you what's worse. He's biracial.
Right.
And never talked anything about the white part of his heritage.
Yeah, about his mom. It was just like a throwaway line, and that was it. It's just like, so what was that in there for in the first place?
It actually kind of is my summation of that movie. I'm gonna steal this from Chris when he watched the movie Bros. This movie is too black for white people, and it's too white for black people. Like there's no like, oh, you know, like a great example. Yeah, if any of the Wayans brothers had directed this movie, they would have went all in on what we know about black culture and their experience as black people and black men. If you gave Spike Lee this movie, it would have been the same thing. Like you would have. There was no like cultural cohesion, and I'm, you know, as a like I made the joke earlier about being light skinned and stuff, but there's kind of like a reality to the fact that, like, I mean, if you go look at Kobe, Leby or whatever, like that dude ain't walking into a room and everybody knowing I wouldn't know he was black if I met him.
Exactly. And I said the same thing. I said, you know what? If I can't tell you're black, there's a problem.
You ain't black.
There's a problem. And
if I can't look at you and tell you are black, nah, bro. Because I'm saying, look, there's always been light skinned black folks, man. Like,
always.
Come on. Always, since the beginning of time. But if I look at you and can't tell if you're black, there is an issue.
Yeah, and this movie never commits. It does. It feels like somebody who had an idea because they've heard about how difficult it is for black people in the world, and you know they're like, oh yeah, I identify with this. And if you're living in a world that you live by a victim narrative, that's what you'll come out with. That's what this movie is. It's a person that wrote an idea from a victim narrative and said, yeah, I bet black people will identify with this, and we're like, we don't identify with any of this. Like that's the thing, you know, If you had really committed to this really ridiculous concept of this secret society of magical black people that were doing crazy stuff, and try even the concept of we want to like keep white people happy just because we don't want to deal with them or whatever, even that concept's kind of funny because like it kind of like leans into the opposite of the Eddie Murphy sketch on SNL where he went undercover as a white guy and like he got all this free stuff and he walks into a room and like they act a certain way until everybody leaves. It's a hilarious concept, but they don't commit to it. And then for it to end up being just a generic rom-com at the end that isn't even really a good rom-com. I was like, it wasn't even good. Like I was like, what are you doing?
It wasn't a good rom-com. And to kind of back up a little bit.
Yeah.
What would have been interesting, because I kind of got what they were saying. It's like, okay, well, we have to make life comfortable for white people so it's safe for us to survive. Thing that came in my head was, what is this, the 17th century? And then they start talking about Monticello and Jefferson. I'm like, okay, I get it. At that point in time, okay, we're talking 16th, 17th, 18th century. Yeah, you had enslaved black people who literally were at the whim of the white people that owned them. They could sell your kids away. They could not allow you to get married. They could do anything that they wanted to you because you were their property. So there was that thing going on, that power dynamic going then. We haven't had that type of power dynamic in 200 years. So it's like, if you're going to go there, you need to go all the way there and learn the lesson from that point in time. Spike Lee did this best in Do the Right Thing. How did that end up at the end?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll say this: the movie we talked about after we saw the film was Hollywood Shuffle. It was because the thing is this, comedy is rooted in truth. That's what gets everyone to laugh because we all know it's true. And Hollywood Shuffle, the reason that film worked by the actor,
Robert Townsend.
That movie came out in 1987. And it was completely pointing a finger at Hollywood and how he's a black actor trying to make it in Hollywood. And he's only getting cliche roles, stereotypes, right? You know, I'll play the robber, the criminal. That was a real comment, and it was a true comment about entertainment at the time. Sure, there were breakout stars like Eddie Murphy in that era. And it's not as if, look, there was diversity, but there was a certain way that Black actors were cast. And I feel like the only way to really break from that were filmmakers like Spike Lee, who didn't wait for an opportunity, didn't wait to get hired from Hollywood, made a short film that he turned into a feature, She's Gotta Have It, and figured out a way to be in control of his own destiny. If anything, he doesn't get enough credit for how he has managed his career. And I think when you look at the history of indie film, you want control, you get the money and you make the thing.
Yep.
But if it's not rooted in truth, it's not going to resonate. So how do certain movies resonate? And then this did not resonate, not in the zeitgeist, whatever. So what does that say? Because box office is a barometer of interest. It's like voting, but they count all the votes.
Let me read this comment real quick, because I think it's from Kelly K. I can't believe we're still talking about this in 2024. Growing up in an all-white household, yet we watch Sanford and Son, The Jeffersons, In Living Color, 227, Amen, Cosby, and The Fresh Prince.
Yep.
Wow. I mean,
Well, and I watched What's Happening growing up.
Oh, What's Happening? Yeah.
No one, people don't remember Reruns.
Good time.
Yeah.
Like, I love those shows, but I liked What's Happening because I identified with the lead character who wore glasses. He was kind of a nerd. He had a really strong mother figure, and every episode was about a moral dilemma. It was always some moral dilemma.
Yep.
And I identify with him because he was kind of the misfit outcast, and he had this crazy group of friends, which were really fun, like Rerun.
But Chris, that's the thing. That's how people identify with the people on the screen, not by their skin color or whatever. They identify by the traits that they share in common. It's one of the things about Peter Parker. Everybody always says about Peter Parker is that, he's this, kind of, nerdy kid. And, he's an outcast. He's not popular. He's not, Flash Gore or Flash Thompson. He's not the jock, and but he gets these superpowers, and how does he handle it? And everybody relates to Peter Parker based upon that, and it doesn't matter what color he is. And so that's how things work in this world. You actually identify with people based on their characteristics, based on who they are at the core of their being. It's not about their skin color. Skin color is superficial. Okay, it's the least interesting thing about you. Your skin color or your sex. Who are you as a person? That's what we care about. That's what we connect with. I don't connect with people. I didn't connect with Chris when we went out there and hung out at that bar because Chris, we share a love for movies. We share, a passion for these certain things back in the 80s when we all were growing up. That's the things that we care about. It's not about skin color. I know a lot of guys that are my same skin color that I don't agree with on a lot of things, and I would never hang out with them. And so that's the whole thing that this movie misses. And a lot of these other movies that come out in this day and age miss is that, I heard you, people want to connect with their victimhood, I guess. I'm a victim of this system, or whatever, whether it be the Hollywood system or whatever, and that, I think you had made this point, Alan, on your review, is that, people see themselves as victims. It's like CRT, the movie, it's like, I am a victim of a system, and, connect with me on that level. And I guess that's how you were supposed to connect with this movie. But if you don't feel like a victim, all of this is just insulting. I don't feel like a victim. I feel like I have the ability to go out there and do whatever it is I want to do. I don't feel like my skin color is holding me back at all. So I don't understand. Like, this is the thing I don't understand about this film. And, it seems like the people that made this film are disconnected from, regular audiences.
No, I'll tell you exactly what they made this film for. So this movie was done. It was filmed a long time ago. Like, me and Chris have friends who have seen this movie 2 years ago. So this has been done for a while, right? And the fact that within those 2 years, right, between the first time my friend saw it till it gets released today, they did no reshoots, they did no rewrites. It's the exact same movie, right?
Okay.
Now here's the thing: that same movie 2 years ago, I think, would have played better. It would have played better because we were at the height of, like I said, the woke scene, right? Oh, they would have ate this shit up. White liberals, oh, they would have ate it with a spoon, right? Right.
Yeah.
That the problem is today, right now, people are starting to get tired of it. They're waking up, and so that movie now doesn't fly today.
How is it that, so this movie doesn't resonate, whereas a film like Get Out, I think that movie holds up.
I like that.
It's horror. yes, it deals with race, but not so much in a lectury in your face way. It's a character, the lead character, what is his name? Chris. He's caught in a dilemma, right? They're gonna steal. I mean, they're stealing his body. I mean, it's a creepy effed up thing, and like the sort of like super progressives making a lot of these comments at this party that they're at is kind of funny, right? So that movie holds up. But Jordan Peele, he did. If you and I'm glad, Lorena, that you saw that sketch, the Key and Peele sketch. That is so. Look up the one on Gremlins too. It's that one
gosh,
also.
Oh, I saw that one too.
That one's good. That was good.
Yeah.
I mean, I just wonder, like, just certain ideas they resonate and they hit people. This didn't land at all, and even the crowd we saw it with, you heard some laughs. There was actually the one, I think the biggest laugh in the whole movie might have been our screening, was you've colonized my crush.
Yeah,
it's funny
right.
that you say that, Chris.
Yeah.
It's a cringe line, but like
because we were just begging for something.
because it sounds like something a Gen Z person would say, but
no. But it's funny you say that because I watched a lot of different reviews on this too after watching this, because I was like, man, am I crazy here? Was this movie that bad? And yeah, it really was. But a lot of people, that was like the only part that they chuckled at, and they didn't even, it wasn't like a super big laugh. They just like, oh, that was like the funniest line that I heard in the whole thing. Yeah. But like, to your point with like even Get Out, like, once again, you know, I know somebody had said, you know, maybe Jordan Peele would have done a better job with this movie, and I think he would have, because like the whole thing with Get Out, at first it like plays like this weird, creepy horror film that, like, you know, we've all like had to deal with the person, like the friendly white guy that wants you to know that he really likes black people, and you're like, yeah, buddy, I get it. You know, I would have voted for Obama a third time if I could. I'm like, okay, good for you. You know, it's funny. It's a funny concept. But one of the things is like, it really leans into the concept. But one of my favorite parts of that movie is like, once Chris escapes from all the craziness and he starts like getting out of the house. If you actually watch, if you just turned on that movie at that point, he's a scary black guy killing a white family. And like, I was like, dude, this is like a genius concept. But once again, he's not scared to like run the edge of comedy and realize like, yo, this could be taken a really wrong way. And if people don't get the concept, they could be really offended by this. But that's the point of like comedy. And they're not, it's obvious that they're not trying to offend people. They're trying to play it as safe as they can and not offend anybody, not maybe say the wrong thing because maybe somebody will get upset somewhere. And part of the risk with comedy is if you're not funny, you won't be able to get a message across. And some of the best comedies that have had a message at the core of them, it's because it's so funny that it disarms you, and then when the message comes in, you're able to receive it. But like, this movie isn't, like you said, it's not funny, and then it has to stop and preach at you because they don't want you to walk away with like not getting the message. Like, don't leave this theater without knowing exactly what the point of this movie is. And I'm like, that's not interesting. Nobody wants to go see a movie and be told what the point of the movie is. They want to watch a movie and decide for themselves what they feel about it, what they think about it, have conversations with their friends or other people about the movie, not be told, well, this is what the movie is, and if you don't get that message, you're obviously wrong, you know? Like, you know, like the joke that you made at the beginning, like, if you don't like this movie, then you're not black. Like, it's
but that's the whole point, Mike. That's the whole point, Mike, is that it's the entertainment factor. It's like, if you're coming in preaching and this is your goal is to get this message across. I got a message I want to get out to the people. And if that's your goal is to get this message across, you've already lost. Okay. Because it's not entertaining. All right. So they're, you know, dancing around on eggshells, trying not to offend people. Okay. And it's like, yo, offend me, offend everybody. You know, I was saying they should have offended everybody on both sides. All right. Make a mockery of this entire concept. That would have been funny. But to just come out here and just give us this like kind of vanilla, like, you know, and we're going to preach at the end. And then even that scene, they're trying to like balance it out with comedy because they have like the I guess the, you know, Zuckerberg guy arguing with his assistant, and they're trying to pull the plug on the whole. I mean, that whole thing was just absolute nonsense. And it's like, even within this message, you probably recognize this isn't going to play well. We better add some comedic bits to it instead of having Justice Smith just lecturing this guy about his life. You know, it's like they understood, even I think within the making of this movie, that this was a concept that wasn't going to work. And yeah, it did. It didn't work at all. It didn't hit with any audiences. It didn't hit with me. It didn't hit with you guys, clearly. And you know, the box office proves it, you know. So I think that, you know, anytime you put agenda and, you know, ahead of the entertainment, your message ahead of the entertainment, this is what you get.
And that's another thing with regards to the quote unquote message, because that whole unhinged, self-pitiful dialogue that happened at the end, I didn't think that there could be a worse monologue than the one near the end of the Barbie movie, which pissed me off for so many reasons. But this was worse because it's just like, dude, why should we freaking feel anything for you? It's not like, say, for example, in the Joker movie, by the time you get to the end of that movie, when he's doing his monologue, you are with dude 100%. With this one, I was literally just like, Negro, please, that sounds like a personal problem on your part that you didn't know how to handle that. Oh, well, you're here for diversity. It's like, dude, you should, if it was real comedy, he would have pimped that to the best of his ability. But it was ridiculous. You just get this whiny thing going on and he's talking about it. And I finally feel like I have the right to feel that, I belong here. I'm like, where the hell were you? Do you know anything about the civil rights movement? What's happened within the last 30, 40 years?
Yep.
You just clueless and trying to do that.
That's coming from these guys that wrote the movie. This guy, I guess he studied at Yale. I'm not saying if you study at Yale, you can't, but I mean, it's like you're disconnected. You're living in a bubble, it's like you're completely disconnected from the real world. So you're in this bubble where you don't really understand what's going on out there on the streets. And this is who you are. This is who you are. And so this is the kind of movie that guy could make. A real movie, like I said, Wayans Brothers would have knocked this concept out of the park.
Kobe Libby didn't set out to make a movie. He wanted to virtue signal. He wanted to preach a message, right? He wanted to do that in the form of a film, right? And the craziest thing about this movie is, if you really think about it, we watched. It was two different movies. It was two different movies. Like the first half, like the second half had nothing to do with the first half.
Yeah,
it became a completely different film. And I don't know who approved this film. I mean, I don't know who financed this film or approved it, but someone had to look at that script.
The DEI chief of Focus Features, okay, whoever the DEI chief is.
We got money to spend.
And I say that, and I only say that because I can't imagine being the guy in charge reading the script and saying, let's greenlight this.
Look, the white guy or white lady that was in charge that said, let's do this, was absolved of all guilt because look at the movie I just made.
Yeah.
I feel like
did you guys see American Fiction? Did you guys see American Fiction?
Yes, a much better movie.
A person like American Fiction, who was it was the like the lady that was saying, oh yeah, let's change the name of the book to this, and it's those kind of people. Those are the guys that greenlit this movie, man. It's those guys that greenlit.
People will love this movie.
Well, I have to give credit to the guy who made the trailer, because the trailer sold exactly what this movie was going to be, and the box office reflected it. We have some people, we have some insiders who gave us some box office intel, but if you discount the big market cities, the movie made about $300 over the weekend per theater. That's pitiful. Drive Away Dolls did better than this movie. There was a indie film, Love Lost Bleeding or something like that did better than this movie. No one, look, there's 6 of us here. There's the F&T crew. We filled up one theater for this movie.
Yeah. That's awful. Yeah.
I would rather watch Madam Web again than watch this crap.
Oh, you know what's funny? Because of all this garbage that's been happening or coming out lately, Madam Web has been shining. Madam Web has been the best film I've seen in a while since Dune. Like, I'm sorry.
The actors of Madam Web have been shining.
Dude, no, Alan. I would much rather watch Madam Web any day over watching
absolutely.
The Magical Negroes again.
Negro movie, yeah.
I'm
That's
sorry.
The other thing too. Like, you made a movie where like most of the white people that have to go see it don't want to say the name. So like, I wouldn't want to buy a ticket to go see this. Hey, can I go see the?
Society.
They're like, I don't know. Say it. And you're like, no, I don't want to say it. Like, I don't know. That's the thing.
Well,
like,
that was the point. The filmmaker talked about, they titled it that to make white people feel uncomfortable.
Well, then they're not going to
And,
go see your movie. And guess what? Like, black people don't want to see you either, buddy. So, yeah.
And they did.
That's what it was called.
Yeah.
But Jordan Peele, or Key and Peele called it Magical Negroes, right? I think that's what
Yes.
Yeah,
the
the Magical
magical
called it
Negro
that.
Well, that's the
fight.
trope, isn't it? That's the
So that's the trope. So they got to play on that trope, you know. And there's so many opportunities this movie had. Unfortunately, they just didn't take any of them. I like the switch up that they did at the end. I mean, can we talk spoilers? I guess nobody's gonna watch.
Yeah,
this movie.
go for it.
So at the end, they have the girl, right? That she's a part of, I guess, a secret society herself as well. Imagine if we had like everybody has their own little secret society where they have to play, okay, I got to do this for this person. Like she was a girlfriend and, now I got to be a girlfriend.
But she wasn't even a girlfriend though.
But,
who's she a girlfriend to?
Eventually they kiss, so girlfriend,
Yeah, she's
so if you kiss somebody, that's your girlfriend?
Yeah.
But that was the whole point. Like, she
rule.
was supposed to be the girlfriend to the black guy, I guess, to maybe get him to be a better man or something. Like, whatever
she didn't
little
do
tropes
that.
there are. I wish they had played it all the way out, okay? Find all the races, find all of every race across the board, and everybody has their own little magical society where they get to go out there and be, whatever they need to be for another race. And then all of a sudden, these guys come at the end, right? They come together at the end, and they're
like
looking at each other
Endgame.
like, wait a minute.
I'll tell you the better story. You have all these magical societies, and the story's about a white guy who discovers that there's all these magical societies that he's not a part of.
I love that. That's funny. That's funny.
Well,
what they
like,
did wasn't funny. There's so many different funny ideas that you could come off with this concept, and this guy just wanted to, make himself a victim, which is just sad, and that's when and me watching that, I'm just like, this is not how black people get down. Like, we don't think like this. I don't think like this. I don't know anybody that thinks like this. So it's just kind of like, this is what you think? Like, come on, bro, get out of here with that.
Yeah.
I was insulted. I was absolutely insulted when I walked out of the theater.
Again, that's the problem when a movie doesn't know what it wants to be. It didn't. It didn't know if it wanted to be a comedy. It didn't know if it wanted to be a drama. It didn't know what it even wanted to be. What it did know, it knew it wanted to preach a message. That's the only thing it knew. It just didn't know how they were going to do it.
Well, I'll just say this live stream today will be more profitable than the American Society of Magical Negroes. It's going to have profit because that movie was not, look, it wasn't a big budget movie, but it wasn't a cheap movie. It had to be, I'm going to guess around 25, 30 million.
Yeah.
With cast, special effects, a lot of locations. They shot in downtown LA. That's not cheap. They had to get rid of all the homeless tents. That's not cheap. They made, because I mean, Dante, you and I were saying like right out of the bat, that was like the one positive was like, oh, it's cool to see that area of LA, which is
that we hang out in all the time.
Yeah. But it ain't. But it's not as clean as all that. It's not as clean.
It's never that clean. No.
Especially the East LA portions of it.
Yeah, that's what tripped me up because I'm like, no. This place did not look this clean. And to add another thing, this dude is what? He works in yarn as art.
Yeah,
how can he afford to live by himself in downtown LA?
Exactly.
He's magical. That's how.
And that's the thing. Like, that even sets up a situation. Maybe he lives like with a bunch of people and like got a bunch of roommates, and maybe they're all black roommates and they don't really like him that much or something. Or he lives with a bunch of all white roommates.
But they never set that up.
Nothing.
Right.
Just nothing. And like DA was saying like about Spider-Man, like there's that concept, like, everybody can see themselves in Spider-Man, and that's kind of like the point, but like what's happened is it's actually like the inverse now. Everybody wants to see themselves as Spider-Man, and so like it's obviously the director is a self-insert. He's like, what if I was in this world where there was like, this is how I feel I have to be and stuff. But I'm like, bro, like you're doing a movie and like you have people that are like, your bosses are white. You have white people working behind the scenes in these movies and stuff. If you're really like that pressed about it, like then maybe you should, I don't know.
Okay, but
Spike Lee
you know where
he did an interview, Mike. He did an interview where he was saying this is exactly why he made this movie is because of what his experiences were. He literally did an interview expressly about that point, that he felt like this is what's happened to me, so I gotta tell it to the world. That's why this movie exists. Because
he was an awkward kid who He was an awkward introvert, and that's the whole point. He was an awkward introvert. He has to blame someone other than himself, so he blamed white people.
Congratulations!
Yeah, I'm
buddy.
sure, and I'm sure he felt very uncomfortable being around so many white people at Harvard. Like all of us black people can relate to that.
Yeah,
when I'm at Harvard,
my time
I
at
feel
Yale,
very insecure about myself as a black man at Harvard.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing, it's shot in LA. I've never been to an event in decades that was all white.
No.
LA is one of the most diverse
I'll take you to some places, Alan. Don't worry about it. I've got they have
society.
Yeah. There's a couple in Encino, but you
gotta go to
you
gotta go to Malibu for stuff like that, or Newport Beach.
But an art
you're right.
Art gallery to not have a diverse crowd at an art gallery in LA is almost unheard of.
It's ridiculous. And downtown LA at that.
Yeah, it's always been like back when I moved here in '89. It was always diverse. No one even you just sort of like that's just it's LA is very multicultural.
Exactly.
It was even misrepresenting real LA, and that art show would have had a lot of different people. The yarn thing was just kind of dumb and made him even more wimpy, which I believe Dante and I talk about this. Hollywood doesn't like strong black men. They just don't.
Nope.
And they want to feminize them or emasculate them or John Cena walking out naked them. They want to dress them down. They want
the humiliation ritual.
Put them in a dress. They want to put them in a dress.
Yeah. And to bring out a spoiler from this movie, when they're going back and showing the magical Negroes of the past, the one that was like Bagger Vance. Okay. All right. I could deal with that. But then they go to that particular scene from the Green Mile. You know what I'm talking about. Where he's grabbing the dude's crotch. Okay. Why did they do that in modern day? But the white guy who's getting his crotch grabbed looks like Ron DeSantis.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. I think it's pretty obvious.
Was that necessary? What was the point of that?
It was funny.
That just looked like humiliation.
It was supposed to be comedy.
That's what it was supposed to be. Flat.
Yeah, it did. Nobody laughed. Nobody thought it was funny.
Yeah.
What it reminded me of was Terry Crews's experience that he talked about, where he had like a producer walk up to him and like grab his dick at like a whatever. I kind of wonder if that maybe like was like kind of inspired by that idea or whatever. But once again, when you're a super light-skinned dude that went to Yale, I know you didn't have that experience. So what is your deal? Like
the problem is most filmmakers today don't know how to do racial commentary very well, right?
Yeah.
Because back in the day, you even had guys like Mel Brooks who did Blazing Saddles, and that was a much better commentary on race and just the taboos of that time, right?
Well, I feel like those, like back in the day, people were more connected to like real world people. Like they didn't live in a bubble. People were more connected, and so you rubbed shoulders with regular, everyday, common people. Hollywood right now, in my opinion, they just, again, Yale is a bubble. Hollywood is a bubble. Everybody's living in these enclaves where they don't really get out and touch grass, so to speak. They don't touch like common everyday situations. Hollywood is like that, and I think that's one of the biggest, it always reminds me of that speech from what was it, Barton Fink, where Barton Fink is saying, we have all of these writers that don't actually know the common man's struggle. They don't know what the common man is dealing with. They don't know where they live, where they love, where they breathe, where they fight. Like they don't understand the common man. And so they're trying to sell you something. All right. They're trying to sell you a product, which is a movie. They're trying to sell you a product that's supposed to speak to you and your situation. But the reality is that they don't understand you. And they, in their bubble, they feel like they're victims. They say, oh, man, the white guy is putting me down. He's not giving me the opportunities that I feel like I deserve. And so when you have that situation where they're living in their bubble and they're, maybe they're mistreated in their bubble, but the rest of us, we feel like, hey, it's a different world out here. We got to get out there and get it. We got to get after it. So I feel like from that standpoint, they're just missing the boat. And that's why these movies don't connect with people, because they're making movies that really don't speak to the common man. The everyday average Joe that's out there grinding, putting in his work. And honestly, just the messages themselves should be, ixnayed. Hey, I'm here to entertain you guys. Okay, let's make them laugh. Let's have a good time. Let's get into the theaters and have a good time. Let's laugh. Let's have fun.
And instead of making this like a movie, geared towards making, white people feel uncomfortable, this should have been a movie that made Hollywood feel uncomfortable, right? For the way that they've casted black actors in the past. That's what this movie should have been.
Like Hollywood Shuffle.
It should have been another Hollywood Shuffle to shame Hollywood for the way they've casted black people. And I'm not even talking about in the 70s. I'm talking about even up to the 2000s, right? Because Hollywood hasn't always been progressive and inclusive.
Oh God, no.
Right? No. So make a movie where you're shaming Hollywood. Not all white people.
I just think I just think Hollywood's version of progressive is kind of racist. Let's be honest. It really is. Because it's diminishing. It's diminishing. Also, it doesn't represent the real world. And I think part of it is, and the reason that we're talking about this, like Hollywood doesn't champion working class or blue collar people. And if you're blue collar or ever worked a blue collar job, I worked at Burger King. I worked at a factory when I was living in Michigan. I've worked a lot of different kind of jobs, taken jobs I didn't like. Worked at a video store was actually a fun job. Worked at a gas station. I've worked nobody cares at that level.
Nope.
Everybody is just trying to make money. We're all just trying to get by. And it's always very diverse because the qualification is I need money. I need a job. You get to these elite levels, and that's where this sort of soft racism or overt racism, I think, exists. That's why you're getting elites in academia have installed this new form of when it's just like, what are you talking about? Because Dante, go to this. Dante comes with me to this bar, the 35er. It's all types of people from all over. Nobody cares. Yeah. Right. And the good thing is,
carry your bags?
What's that?
Nothing.
I was there the past 2 nights. I'm sorry. I was there I posted a video on my Twitter or whatever. There's a hat and there's a Jameson flag. I was a little plastered. I took that Jameson flag. I said, I'm going to put it in the background. Anyways, nobody cares at that level. People are just whatever. But I feel like when you get to an elite level, that's where the uncomfortableness comes in, right? That's where almost an overcompensation to kind of, as you were pointing out earlier, Mike, the white guy that's like has to like overcompensate and say, hey, I'm down with the cause or whatever. And it's kind of embarrassing. You kind of roll your eyes, whatever. I mean, I grew up, I actually got to hang out with Mike last year, which was a lot of fun. What was it, October, November?
Something like October, November. Yeah. Yep.
And that was a blast. That was fun.
Yeah.
We had a good time. So
yeah, it was a really good time. But once again, the fingers that should be being pointed are at the people that, like, the systems that are making some of these movies and the attitudes and the way that they've regressed over the last 20 years, 10, 15, 20 years. Because once again, we all grew up watching a swath of different stories and movies and television made by black people, written for black people, and from different experiences. Like, you had from, things that were like, this is set in you have Boys in the Hood, and you had movies that were about people that lived in really bad places, and you had things like The Cosby Show where there were doctors and they didn't have to deal with race, and they were talking about regular things and budgeting and stuff. So you had all these different experiences, and that was the point, was we all could oh yeah, I've dealt with this before. But I was actually talking to somebody about this the other day, when you had Family Matters, a show like Family Matters, and they actually talked about race sometimes and dealt with it, but they didn't spend all this time preaching and screaming at their audience that they had to understand it or get it or anything. I don't know. It's just this weird thing. And somebody in the comments also pointed this out. The last movie that we really got to see that really was willing to actually take this risk and really lampoon Hollywood like they deserved was Tropic Thunder. And they addressed the elephant in the room, which is these white progressives think they know black people better than black people know themselves. Literally, you got an Australian actor that goes, I think I can play this black guy better than anybody else could. And you have another black actor that's going, dude, I'm just trying to make it work. And he's but that's the idea is when you get to those levels, they think they know people better than people know people, and it doesn't make any sense. And so then when you get a movie that's like the other side of that, like a movie like Joker, you go, oh, like, we know what that's like. No, we don't want to go around shooting people, which is what they were all worried about. We were going to all do is get mad and be like, yeah, I'm kind of inspired to go shoot people myself. I don't know, you know, but the whole point was, yeah, I can relate to the fact that if I had like a really awful life and a really awful day, I might do something stupid too, because like,
you know what
you relate to.
To piggyback off of that, I remember this, and I remember this clearly. I remember watching that movie Falling Down with Michael Douglas.
Oh, that was good.
Michael Douglas. And I remember at the time I saw it, because I was young, you know, I didn't really get it. I was like, yeah, you know, he's crazy, right? As I got older though and watched that movie again, oh man, I related to him on every level, man. I was like, okay, I get it now. Like there's times where I just want to drop everything and just destroy some shit, right? I mean some stuff. You know, like
it's pretty good.
I'm trying to watch my life. So but I felt that, right? I felt what he felt. And again, in a non-preachy way, right? Yeah. Like you could tell a story that relates to people that puts a spotlight on something without preaching it, man. And I don't think filmmakers today know how to tell a story anymore without preaching.
Here it is. I mean, you brought up Family Matters, Fresh Prince. The end game in those stories was equality. The end game today is revenge.
Yes.
You know, it's like we've got to make white people pay for everything for everything they've done for the past, 8 centuries or whatever. You know, and you know, and it's, I talk a lot about the fact that, when I grew up in the 70s and 80s, I experienced actual aggression. Today, I experience microaggressions, and to me, microaggressions are basically African history professors needing to justify their jobs.
Yep.
And so they've got to keep this narrative going. And so rather than bring us all together and sharing in common this American culture that we've built all together, we've got to always keep each other at odds for the sake of their jobs and their relevancy. Yeah. And society's paying for it.
Couple quick things on that. I'll ask, do you want progress or do you want revenge? Yeah. And I think that unfortunately, a lot of people have revealed themselves. They would prefer revenge over actual progress, which I believe that we've made.
And I think we've progressed very far, especially in the last several years, and that's why I think this talk has intensified, because once you solve racism, then what's the point of politicians?
Well, the thing is that I'm reading Vivek Ramaswamy's book, Woke Inc., which I strongly recommend. And he says that corporate America loves when people are divided. They love it. And because, and in particular, racial division, because it's a way to kind of point over here so you don't notice the horrible things corporations are doing over here. It's really disgusting. Real quick, unfortunately, Lorena's got to go. But we're lucky we had her for an hour here. We appreciate it. You will be back. I love to have you back, Lorena. Always love your commentary.
Love to come back.
Please plug your channel before you leave.
Okay, well, I sure will. But before I plug my channel, I saw someone in the chat mention Booker T. Washington. One of the I research my family, I do genealogy. One of the time periods that I have researched the most is Reconstruction. Why? For the first time, you had Black people who were counted in the census. At that time, you had Booker T. Washington and you had W.E.B. Du Bois. And Booker T. Washington, one of his quotes is, "You have got this group of people who are monetarily invested," I'm paraphrasing, "in keeping the races at odds with each other." Go back and read his autobiography. Go back and read that, and you will hear some of the same grievances being voiced by W.E.B. Du Bois that you see in the quote unquote woke press that's going on today. It is scarily similar. So go and check that out. But folks, you can find me over on my channel, Lorena Creole. I did drop a video yesterday reviewing the American Society of Magical Negroes. I called it Magical Negroes Assemble. Yes, I did. I used the whole word. So please do check that out when you get a chance. I also have a live stream show on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. called The Spice Lounge, where we have hot topics, spicy conversation. Dante was on the show last week. This week, we're going to be talking, Lord, that X-Men 97 series that's coming up. I hear The Acolyte. They're supposed to drop a trailer for that tomorrow. So we're going to be talking about that on Wednesday. And I also do theme park live streams. You can see that on Saturdays at 10 a.m. and on Sundays at 8 p.m. I have the Welcome to Florida show, where we try to put as many articles as we can about all the craziness that goes on in the second craziest state of the union with America's worst superhero, Florida Man. So please do come and check that out. I'm sorry I have to go. Chris, thank you so much for having me on. I'm looking forward to being back on again. Gentlemen, all of you take care. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks, Lorena.
Lorena, take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
I know. Before we move on, we got a lot of questions in the chat, super chats. I'm going to go through as many as I can. I'm not going to be able to get to all of these, but I'll get to as many as possible. I promise I read them all before the end of the show, but here we are. Null White for 5 says falling down was 100% my dad, and I'm black. The breakfast fast food scene was him to the letter. Okay, well, there you go. And Red French Moon for €5, who's a member, thank you. My favorite blue collar representation from Hollywood is still to this day Jennifer Beals in Flashdance. She was a welder after all. There you go. And then let's see.
And a stripper.
Yeah, and a stripper. Oh my God, that movie. So
you got to do what you got to do.
Frank Zanka for 499 says, Chris, met you in Vegas with Aaron Sparrows. I produced a pilot with Nichelle Nichols. Final performance. How do I put the trailer on FT? Very easy. Go to filmthreat.com/contact. Ask me and I'll send you the details. It's really easy. So just hit me up directly. I will respond, Frank. There you go. Frank, my alter ego. And hey, Bad Coyote Funky for 20 says modern Hollywood doesn't understand that we love characters for their traits, not identity. Batman and Spider-Man were my favorite heroes growing up because of what the heroes stood for. I'm not a white kid nor a billionaire. Well, I don't think any of us are billionaires. Thank you for that. That was very generous. Luis Cuevas for 10 says, I don't have to be white to really understand and see myself in movie characters. Fight Club was always seems to hit too close to home, especially when my money means less and less every year. Louis, I feel you, man. It's just, I never understood that. And I've talked about this and I've repeated this comment many times, that this is a bad idea that came from academia, where you have to look like the character to identify with the character, which I always think is stupid. You can identify with the protagonist. The protagonist can be male, female, different, ethnicity. It could be, a fish in a cartoon. It's you identify with the protagonist because of who they are, traits, right?
Yeah. My daughter saw herself in Paul Giamatti's character in The Holdovers because he was an outcast. He was a misfit. You can identify with people who don't look like you.
Yeah, and the idea that that's the whole point of, I've said it many times, fiction. The entire point of fiction is to learn the human emotion, empathy. You learn empathy for someone, right? Whether you watch, look, you can read a novel, comic book, play a video game. I always picked a female character in video games. I don't know why. I've always done that. I played Chun-Li with Street Fighter 2 and all the incarnations, just like her as a character. So, the idea that you have to look like a character you identify with is ridiculous. So, and I want to thank our new members. Kelly K became a YouTube member. Check out our exclusive videos on the members channel and all sorts of, we do giveaways, movies and whatnot. And I appreciate you, Kelly, also with your comment earlier. And also Bad Coyote Funky also became a YouTube member. We appreciate it. I'm going to start from the top now. Sorry, guys, there's a bunch of these, but I'll get through quick. that one ginger Draven for $4.99. I didn't see this movie because I wanted to make sure I got my discount at North Face. Maybe people don't know the North Face situation where you get a 20% discount if you complete a racial equity training seminar.
Wait, are you kidding?
Yeah, I'm not joking.
Seriously.
Yeah, so you basically it's you have to complete I think it's yeah, I'll have to look it up. Alan, you know all about it.
But let me guess, that's a white person only discount, right?
Only if you do that thing. No, it's not. I don't know. I just know that like people are upset about it. And it's sort of ridiculous. And Kelly K coming in, I'm confused. Are we still going with African American or are we switching to magical Negroes?
Hey, call me a magical Negro. I won't bother. I have no problem.
Yeah, magical. I don't know, but like it's so weird because like my grandparents grew up, they always said colored people, but it's because when they grew up, that was the respectful term. So they
but see now that Chris, now that's offensive, but people of color, that's okay.
Yeah, she can say POC.
Yeah.
Colored people, bad. People of color, fine. Like,
right?
That makes no sense. It makes no sense. But this is the nonsense we're dealing with now.
But African American even doesn't make sense. Like, what if someone is British and black?
Right. Right.
So it's not a term that.
Yeah, Chris, they don't care. That it's just we're all the same to them. Like they're just like. Oh.
Yeah.
By the way, breaking news: Disney has decided to add to the Tiana ride magical Negroes.
Oh no!
Nice.
Wait. I want to. Is that? I have a new graphic for breaking news. Can you repeat that story after this? I don't know why I was being arrested in that graphic. That's crazy. And you do the news after that.
Oh yeah.
All right. More comments here. Let me get through them because there's some good comments here. Owen Knight for £5 says, I would have killed for this movie to have been written by a brain trust of Dave Chappelle, Key Peele, and Bill Burr, but no, better to be divisive. Keeping people divisive is a tool of politicians and has been for years, and it's evil. G-Man for $5 says, all right, you two, quit fighting. Chris is starting to look very uncomfortable. His tear meter is filling up.
Yeah, you okay, Chris?
Yeah, my tear meter's filling up, guys. I'm getting kind of angry.
And just the concept
now, man.
and just the concept of if we don't keep white people happy, we'll die.
Yeah,
that is so weird.
We will be killed. We will be killed if we don't keep white people happy.
That was just weird. I'm like, my even just thought was like, you've got magical powers. Why would you waste your time trying to make white people feel good? If you were this group of black people who had all these powers, wouldn't you use it for something else?
Go build Wakanda. Go build Wakanda. We could build Wakanda with all of this magic. Why are we doing this for white people? Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
And if you don't teleport during slavery, I mean,
right.
Well, I think isn't if I understood correctly while I was watching it, because they start losing their powers because white people are unhappy, right?
Yeah.
But like
no. They lose their powers when they do something that goes against the grain of the collective, right?
Yeah.
Meaning all black people have to think alike. Otherwise, we lose our power if we don't all think alike.
So if we're not all thinking that we're
we're a monolith.
Yeah,
we're a monolith, and if we break that monolith, we lose our power.
And that's crazy because then it makes you have to like be subservient to white people because some black people are like.
Yes.
Well, if you want to have magical powers,
yeah. If you want to have magical power, you want to have any.
Otherwise, what did they say? You got to go and live like a normal black person. Yeah, you got to be a normal black guy.
Yeah, that was weird.
You get power on your own.
Weird.
Yeah,
that was the worst part of the movie to me because it's like, well, what's wrong with being a normal black person in America? You know, so now
that's it.
You know what I mean?
They didn't think about that when they wrote the script. The concept was they have magical powers because they think alike and because they make sure white people stay happy, so that we're all good now, right? And they don't even realize how predatory that attitude really is. Like when you really start breaking down that concept, it's like that shit's scary, man. Like
man,
and it's even scarier to think that you have people in this world that are trying to preach this to other people, or may even it's weird to think that somebody can actually believe this, but I actually believe they live in a world where if they upset white people enough, white people will just come and kill them.
Like, again, this is coming from academia, right? Because all of these cats are coming. It's coming from academia. It's not coming from the real world experiences of black people that live in America.
It's coming from colleges.
Yeah, it's coming from the colleges.
It's crazy to me to think, if you guys aren't careful, these white people will kill you. I'm like, a bunch of these professors are white people too. I'm like, what are you talking about? Are you going to kill me? No, I would never do that. I'm not one of them. I'm like, who's them? You know, like, I don't know. That concept is just crazy to me. And one of the things that it made me think about and reminded me of, and I think it's a interesting concept. So a movie like this will come out and they'll be like, no, this isn't racist. This is for black people. This is to help black people. But then a movie that comes out that's the premise is a slave gets free and starts killing slave owners in Django Unchained, and they're like, that movie's really racist. Like, I really don't like the concept of this film. I think this is really racist. And like, it's interesting the attitude, and Dave Chappelle actually talked about that on his show sometimes. He had like outtakes where like he went back in time in like the Player Haters Club and they shot a slave owner, like, and he thought it was like a really funny joke, and the censors came to him and they're like, you can't do this, that's not funny, you can't, that's, nobody wants to watch that happen. But that it shows the prevailing attitude is, how can we make black people feel subservient and calm and nice and chill because we don't really want to face consequence, like you don't want to watch somebody face consequences for things that they actually would get upset about or get frustrated about. You want them to like be calm and deal with their oppressors by like being subservient and quiet and chill with everybody. Like, you know, why are you getting upset and stuff? And it's like you guys said, like, it's putting black people and black men in dresses. It's like, how can we keep them cool and calm and also try to make them also live in a victim narrative, but not really ever do anything to rise up against that victim narrative, because like, you don't want them to break out of that, you know? I'm not saying
Justice Smith's character, you know, wasn't realistic, right? I've known black guys like that who were, you know, kind of timid, nerdy's not really.
I know people in general.
Yeah. Well, but my point is, my thing is, I know black guys who were like that, and my thing is like, okay, that was fine. The fact is, though, we saw no growth from this character. There was no growth. It was like, okay, now that I've been accepted by this society, like, we didn't see him helping other white people. Like, we didn't see him do something to make us think he's good at his job, or that he was even invested in the society.
Well, that's why I say that
we
they
saw
should have
no
made
growth
David Allen
of this
Greer
character at all, man.
That's why I say they should have made
that little
David
speech at the end wasn't growth.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm just sorry. That little scene at the end wasn't growth. It was just.
No,
it seemed like a Hail Mary, right? It's like, oh shit, we've reached the end of this movie. We got to do something. Oh, let's give him a speech.
Yeah, right there. That's
you know,
like, yeah. Oh man,
that's why I was saying make David Allen Greer. Like, his character has been in the game for how long? What, like 20, 30, 40 years, however long he had been a magical Negro. It would have shown, like, if he's willing to break that mold, if he's willing to break out of that society, that would have shown, like, okay, he's tired of this and he's growing from his experiences, you know? But, like, to go back to what you were saying, the reason that they, you know, and Lorena brought it up, and I was about to bring it up, but she brought it up first, the Booker T. Washington quote, where he says, and actually I got it right here. Let me read it real quick. He says, there's a certain class of race problem solvers that don't want the patient to get well, because as long as the disease holds out, they have not only an easy means of making a living, but also an easy medium through which to make themselves prominent before the public. That is the reason why they don't want to, they don't want to empower people to, go out and live their life. No. You're a poor victim. Stay a victim. We need you in this victimhood status. Because as long as you stay a victim, hey, we can exploit that victimhood. We can exploit it for votes. We can exploit it for money. We can exploit it in all kind of different avenues. That's the reason why this kind of a movie comes out. It's because, again, it's coming from academia. It's coming straight from Yale right to your theaters. This is what they teach in the colleges, and that's just the way it is.
Yep.
I want to go through a bunch of these because they're piling up, super chats. And then I'm going to reveal something, and you guys can judge whether or not I'm racist.
You're racist.
Very
Okay,
concerned
good.
right now.
And it's going to be okay. Red French Moon for €5 says movie isn't out in France, but for me, Justice Smith was weak point in Dungeons and Dragons. His acting seems lazy, like someone dragged him on the set. Yeah, I thought he was miscast. Owen
He's not a
Knight.
good actor.
By the way, he's from Orange County and went to the Orange County School of the Arts, which
Did he
explains
really?
a whole lot. Yeah,
Oh
he
my
did.
Owen Knight for £10 says the most insidious thing is that this film isn't for Black people. It doesn't look like it celebrates Black culture, but it does let liberals affirm their own crappy views based on white guilt. And then
So I don't think even liberals believe that. I think it's the progressives.
Yeah. Jeff C says, Alan, I'm now afraid that Hollywood will make the Society of Magical Orientals next. And
God.
Lawrence, I live it now. So
the Lawrence Gillespie, the pity party speech at the end is becoming a trend. Patrick Lemire says, this movie is like Rings of Power, more people watching channels talking about it than viewers watching it in theaters. That's true. Dandy Jandon, it's crazy that they released this film. How can I get on these free paycheck projects? Man, I'm Black. Well, there you go. I don't
do it
know.
now because the money's running out.
Apply for grants and fellowships or whatever. There's a tons of them out there. G-Man for $5. When are we getting the sequel, The Australian Community of Mystical Aborigines? Is that a thing? I don't know. G-Man for $5. Is John Coffey from the Green Mile a member of the Magical Society? I'm fairly sure. And then Solomon Thornton says, Scorsese said, don't try to preach something to your audience, rather give them situations and let them decide for themselves. Yes. Leandro Medeiros de Souza says, so American Society of Magical Negroes is Zoomers Blazing Saddles? The answer to that is no. Blazing Saddles was successful. Latino Slant says, I'm a magical beaner. Gracias. Thank you, Paulie. Matthew Hammond for $9.99. Did Hollywood do too good of a job of bringing people together in the 90s? As a white guy, I could watch Hanging with Mr. Cooper, the Steve Harvey Show, the Bernie Mac Show, and the Wayans Brothers, and enjoyed them. Yeah, I agree. Pilgrim Media says, thank you for the honest conversation. J-Man for $5 says, thank you for that. Do you guys remember the movie Nightcrawler? Nowadays, it feels like all the problems are being made up by the people behind the camera.
Yeah.
I would agree. And then Jade Scott for 20 says, how about we make American Society for Magical Egros? Group of whites use magic to take things from successful whites and give to blacks so they don't get too angry. No pushback, I'm sure. P.S. YouTube wouldn't let me type the N-word. Well, the Negro word? I don't know. There you go. Well, there you go. And Luis Cuevas became a YouTube member. Check out the members tab for our exclusive content. Now, I watched this when I was a kid, watched a lot of old TV, right? This is the 70s. A lot of stuff in black and white, on a little black and white TV. I would watch the Bill Kennedy show in Detroit. He would show old movies, old film noir, old classics. I don't know. Epic Mike, that's probably before your time. The Bill Kennedy show. And he was an actor. His claim to fame was he had a bit part in Gone with the Wind. He'd always point himself out. And they would play classic movies. But I watched also Abbott and Costello films. I loved Laurel and Hardy. And I also watched Amos and Andy. And I love that show. It's two guys. They always had some scheme, Kingfish. They're always trying to outwit Kingfish. Now, I'm sure if I rewatched it now, there might be some issues. But all I remember was I like the characters. Does that I know that was something that I grew up with, watching old stuff. I also watched new stuff. But I loved Amos and Andy. My feeling is a lot of things are being erased simply because they came from a certain era. What are your thoughts on that? Am I racist? Did you watch Amos and Andy when you were younger? And I'll say this. I saw Blazing Saddles in the theater when I was way too young. And my main takeaway from it was, one, it was funny. And two, it was the only movie I'd ever seen that had a fart joke in it. And I loved the farts. I was like a kid. And so, the stuff that addressed race kind of probably just went over my head. But the audience was laughing. And then the fart stuff was just funny. Did you guys ever watch that show at all?
I never watched Amos and Andy. No.
I think I saw like 1 or 2 episodes when I was younger, but I really don't remember the premise of it.
Well, Detroit TV was very different. They would show on like the UHF stations a lot of classics because I'm sure they were cheap, like Little Rascals, Abbott and Costello, Laurel and Hardy, Amos and Andy. They were just like on repeat constantly. All right, so
I never watched Amos and Andy either. I do remember, like, I didn't watch it directly, but I do know of the Bill Kennedy show. I think my grandma had like taped those stuff off of television and stuff because she was always watching older movies. So I don't know that that's racist though, Chris. But
yeah, I just really like I just thought it was just a funny show.
Yeah,
for me it was just a funny show.
But
again, you could be edgy. You could have even like racial humor as long as you don't break the cardinal rule, which is you got to be entertaining.
Right.
You could do all of that. You can say everything you want to say, right? But you got to be entertaining. That has to be first and foremost. If I'm not entertained, I don't care what you have to say. Like if I want to be preached to, I'll go to church.
Yep.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where I go to the theater or I sit down and watch TV to be entertained.
Right. Well,
that's the whole point.
At least at church, if you're being preached to, the drag queen that's giving the speech is going to completely. All right. No,
so, well, I think you guys mentioned it, but the biggest crime of this movie is it wasn't funny.
Yes.
You could have had this you could have had the same story and everything. And if you had someone who actually knew how to write jokes and knew how to bring humor to the situation, it would have been a better movie, and we probably would have taken the pill and swallowed it.
I think part of it, the thing that I've noticed is that certain people on one side of the political aisle have no sense of humor about themselves.
Gee, I wonder who.
Yeah. I mean, it's obvious which side, but I mean, they have no sense of humor about themselves. And so if you can't make fun of yourself, if you can't like look at certain ideas and kind of just like poke holes in it, the preachy thing at the end, I think the audience, you could feel the whole audience just cringing because I felt that final speech. It's worth discussing. The final speech wasn't addressing a universal issue. It was addressing the one issue that was specific to that person, which is the director of the movie. That's how he felt about things. And I felt for a moment, I felt sad. I felt sad for that this person feels so not accepted. It's something internal. It's a low self-esteem issue, right? It was a low
bingo.
But you know what, Chris? I said this in my review too, that again, those issues that he had, I guarantee you he would have had the same issues around black people.
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
Like he would have been the same. He would have been the same guy around black people.
Are you saying black people aren't into yarn art?
That's what I heard. Yarn art is like a big deal.
I know.
That was the ending with him in that orange tattered shirt, and they never reference it. Look,
that was.
Here's how you know. The first thing he comes in, what are you wearing this ugly thing for? He looked like a hobo. I mean, it was just bad.
And I was thinking, like, he's supposed to go out on a presentation looking like this. Like, what's going on here, man? He looked absolutely horrible. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: when it comes to that last speech and him spewing all his victimhood out there for everybody to hear. Again, like I said, people don't really real people don't feel that way about themselves. Like there's people obviously that do feel like that, but real people don't. And the fact that they tried to use that moment to, give this long speech to have, I guess, everybody, okay, here's the message, everybody, pay attention. And then they undercut it. They undercut it with this back and forth between the Zuckerberg guy and his assistant. And they're back and forth. And it's like, I think that even he understood that this is a terrible moment. This is preaching to the audience. And I got to throw some comedy in here. I got to throw some comedy in here real fast, because if I don't, I've lost the audience. I'm literally just preaching to the audience at this point. I'm giving them a TED's talk. And if I'm giving a TED's talk in the middle of a movie, I've lost it. So I feel like that's the reason why he did that. And again, just it's so sad. I felt sorry for him too, Chris. I was right there with you, man. I felt sorry for the guy because I was like, this is how you feel. This is really what's going on in your life. That you feel like this guy feels unseen and unheard. And, I need to make sure that I give this message because this is his personal plea, I guess, to Hollywood or whatever. I mean, it was just so sad to see that on display. It was just pathetic. It was a terrible way to end the movie. You know, it's just like one of the worst things I've seen in my life.
And that's the thing. It's like he could have gone to therapy. He could have dealt with it. He could have hung with a group of friends that would let him know when he's full of shit or has gone too far or, you know, had a sense of humor or whatever. But he decided to make a movie instead of go to therapy. And I feel like the therapy would have been money better spent. We've got a bunch of other chats and comments that we're going to get to, but I want to ask one sort of big picture question to everybody because we've talked about the movie.
Yeah.
Now outside the movie, this movie was a colossal failure. Alan and I get a friend of ours works in the realm of box office and movie theaters that tells us a lot of information. This movie was making $200 to $300 per screen. That is
over the weekend.
Over the weekend.
That is awful.
That is so. If you went to see this movie, you were probably in an empty theater. We did see it opening night. I won't say our theater was empty, but it wasn't full either. It was probably a third, maybe. Dante, is that about?
Was it even that much though?
That may have been 20%. So, but it was like we did see it with a small group of people, and I can't say that they weren't laughs, but the laughs were kind of like, well, pity laughs, I guess. But what do we take away from this? Does this, you know? And I'm trying to even remember. Has there ever been a movie that was fully woke? Right? Because this is that.
No, call it what it is. It's fully woke.
And that made money and was successful. It's not, I'm not talking about, this is a different type of movie. Then there's a movie that is very mainstream, very broad, like a Captain Marvel or whatever, or some other movie that sort of leaks wokeness into it. Okay. Those can actually do well. Maybe not as well, but like a movie like, and the way I see is like this movie was at the Sundance Film Festival, right, Alan? Was it the most recent one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was at Sundance, and I am positive it got a standing ovation. I'm positive this movie, they laughed harder because I've been at Sundance. They call it the mountain air, and I've seen some movies that you would go, why does anyone care about this movie? But you see them literally at Sundance, and it's people who barely got in. And they're whooping and hollering for something that I guarantee nobody's going to see. And there used to be a market for that. You know, there were movies that opened in New York and LA and nobody saw it. Now, if this movie opened in 2 theaters, let's say it opened in 1 theater in New York and 1 theater in LA, I guarantee that screen would probably be more full because it's the only, and what I'm saying is they're trying to release these things that are not mainstream and they're trying to give them mainstream releases. The other example of this was Bros. Right? Bros, if Bros was a little indie movie and it was made for under 10 million and it only opened in a couple theaters, then went direct to streaming, would have been a hit. And I actually believe that this movie, if it was released differently, probably would have at least performed better or the curiosity would have gotten to people. What is our takeaway from the failure of this film? You can't deny it.
Let me tell you, the trailer said it all. I think people saw the trailer. The provocative title made people wonder what the trailer was about. They saw what it was about and they realized it wasn't for them. On the other hand, American Fiction told you everything you need to know about that movie. And you felt the balance in that message. You felt that this was going to be a very different message than you were getting from Black filmmakers at that time.
Well,
and so, you know, the trailer did the job. It told you what this movie was. And people got it, and people didn't show up.
Yeah, well, like I've been saying this for, a few years now. But watching what was going on in films and listening to some of the messaging and stuff that was coming from these filmmakers and studios and their desire to push more for representation and diversity in films and stuff like that. I kind of made a statement that we were dangerously close to seeing a second wave or the second generation of like blaxploitation. But the difference was, in the 70s, 60s and 70s, when you had blaxploitation, it was Black filmmakers going, I want to be able to make my own movies. Why am I not seeing myself in movies? Or why am I not getting work in the industry? And it was so, you had a wave of independent filmmakers and people like that. And it gave birth to people like Spike Lee and doing their own thing and making their own films. This is not that. What this is a second wave of blaxploitation where you have studios with money grabbing black people going, oh, we'll give you the money to make your movies. Oh, you have an idea for a film? Yeah, we'll sign off on that. So it's not even people going, yo, I'm driven by the fact that I feel like I don't have access to filmmaking and to Hollywood or to a part of the industry where I can make my own stuff, because we've had black filmmakers making movies for years and lots of different types of movies. We had what was his name? Was it Anton Fuqua made a King Arthur movie? Like, we had they could make whatever they wanted, but now you're watching black directors and stuff become pigeonholed into only being able to make movies about black people and about the black struggle. You got, the first Black Panther, despite the studio's desire to make it something more than that, had some good stuff. It was not a terrible film because Ryan Coogler is a good director. Go watch the second movie. That is not a Ryan Coogler film. That is a Disney movie with messaging that had Ryan Coogler's name attached to it. And you can see how that's becoming more and more of a thing. We had a movie a couple years ago, The Harder They Fall, which is like a black Western. And like, it's not terrible. It's mostly decent, but it's mostly because it follows like a typical Western story. You did a bad thing to me when I was younger. Now I've grown up and become a gunfighter. And I'm coming after you to get you. And then there's all these like black cowboys and stuff in it and stuff that actually existed. But that attitude is prevailing of like, we need to give them more chances to talk about things. And then, I know David Oyelowo just did a movie about Baz Luhrmann, or not Baz Luhrmann, Baz Reeves, who was like a black lawman that they never made any movies about. And I was really excited about it, but then it looked like there was a bunch of race baiting and stuff about the KKK and stuff in it. And that's the thing. He didn't really face a bunch of racism when he was a lawman. He just was out there arresting people, and he was a really good lawman. Like, go do Westerns about black people that were doing, cowboy stuff and lawman stuff, but they always have to insert race. They always have to insert injustice. They always have to insert like slavery and stuff that are somehow into it, because they think that is the only way that black people can relate to whatever films they're doing. And it's the only way that they can make up for all their white guilt that that they supposedly have and that everybody's living with. And none of it's real. It's all this weird echo chamber that they're all patting themselves on the back for and giving each other awards for. And like you said, standing ovations at film festivals for, even though the movies aren't good. And regular audiences, the people that you need to go see your movie to make them profitable, don't want to see it. They're not interested because they know it's not real.
Yep. Bingo. You nailed it, man. You nailed it right there, man. It's the authenticity of it all. You're not authentic. I don't feel like I'm coming to watch something that I feel like I'm watching like manufactured product from a liberal, progressive lens. I'm not watching a movie that is going to be entertaining. Number one, there's going to be some sort of a message behind it. I already know that when I walk into the theater, there's about to be a message, magical Negroes. I already know what's coming. Okay. And what audiences are tired, they're getting tired of messages. They're getting tired of the agenda. They want to be entertained. And to your point, Chris, we should see entertainment step into the forefront right now. And if it's not entertainment, I'm out. Okay, I'm out. I'm not messing with it anymore. And I think audiences are seeing the messages ahead of it. When you drop a trailer and you're saying, the most dangerous creature is a white person that's mad or whatever, that's, okay, you know what? I'm out. I'm not even going to mess with it. I'm not giving this an opportunity because I don't want to be a part of this nonsense that you're pushing. People want to be entertained. They're tired of the messages permeating their entertainment. That's the number one thing.
The pinnacle of their failure for me is the fact that this was a movie aimed at black people and no black person supported them.
No,
but was it really aimed at black people? Like, did a black person really want to watch?
Or was it a lesson for white people?
I personally wouldn't have saw this.
Sure, it could have been a lesson for white people, but
yeah,
the way it came across was they were trying to get a black audience in there, right? With some of those jokes and everything, they were trying to, but they failed. They failed because black people don't support that stuff, man. They don't look. You can make a racially sensitive movie, and as long as it's, like I said, entertaining and well written, like black people will go watch it. I know many black people who saw American Fiction,
right?
Yeah. Which
American
is a much better
Fiction
film.
Did great when it comes to broaching the race topic. American Fiction nailed it, man, because it's like, hey, this is they could have made a crappy movie with that. They could have made a terrible
easily.
Movie
it easily could have went wrong.
Yeah, it could have easily went wrong, but you had a good writer that understood, hey, this is a good topic, and I know how to entertain a crowd with this. And he got, good people around him. Obviously, Jeffrey Wright's a great actor, but you get great writing with a topic like this. Like I said, any of the old school comedians, if we got to Richard Pryor or Eddie Murphy being in this type of a film, I mean, they would have knocked it out of the park. They would have destroyed this whole concept. And, again, you go back to guys like Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks could have did this movie, and he would have had a lot of fun with it, and it would have been hilarious. And that's what I was hoping. I already saw the trailer, and I said, yeah, this trailer doesn't look too hot. But if it's funny, if it's really funny, if it just gets, if it gets down and dirty and it starts, just completely wrecking this idea, it could be a lot of fun. And this guy he's just not funny. I don't know this guy. He says he's a comedian. I looked him up. It says Kobe Libby is a comedian. I'm like, yeah, bro, you ain't funny. I mean, you about to go back to comedy school. Yeah, not at all.
Did you see he was in some footage with Alex Jones? Like he got in some scuffle with Alex Jones. It was
I didn't see.
No, check it out. Check out Gary's review on Nerdrotic, and shout out to Gary from Nerdrotic. He passed 1 million subs this morning.
Nice.
Congratulations to him. It shows certain ideas resonate, others do not. Real quick, a couple news stories I want to go through. This one is a little concerning. Hollywood contraction hits entertainment executive jobs. This is a full-scale depression. Okay, this story came out this morning.
You mean the executives are getting depressed?
No, it says LinkedIn is usually used by professionals for networking with people in their field, posting updates when they get a new job, or congratulating friends on their promotions. These days, as one former industry type put it, it's become a therapy site for unemployed entertainment executives who share their frustration over the lack of opportunities in Hollywood amid a major contraction. I've seen a lot of downturns, lots of job losses, but I've never seen anything like this. One veteran top TV executive said, this is a full-scale depression for the entertainment industry. Over the past year, there have been layoffs at Disney, Warner Brothers Discovery, Paramount, NBC Universal, Amazon MGM Studios, Lionsgate, Netflix, Sony, Fifth Season, and most talent agencies, including CAA and UTA. The dire situation, bordering on worst case scenario, the seasoned TV executive said, was created by a perfect storm of COVID, strikes, and poor management decisions coming home to roost, driven by short-sighted moves by media companies aimed at goosing their quarterly reports to Wall Street. I could go on here. We're going to talk about it on Wednesday. Alan, when we do, but this is should not surprise anyone. No. One thing I want to show you guys, this was sent to me by a guy named Alec from Canada. And this was played during a hockey game. I gotta set it up for you here. And there's a video that I can play. Hopefully we're okay playing this video. It's a commercial, but it's Check Your Privilege. And by check, it's I don't know, what is that Canadian spelling? It's the Canadian.
The hockey check, right?
The hockey. Yeah. So let me share a screen with this, and we're going to look at this short video. This was played. The irony of this is that it was played during a hockey game. Who do most of the people who play hockey look like?
They're white.
They're mostly white. And whatever. I mean, it is what it is. So it's Check Your Privilege. You can make a donation, but let's check out this video. Alan, if you would mute me when I turn on the video. It's a little
actually.
You ready?
Actually, you're gonna have to mute yourself. I'm not. Oh no, I can mute you. Okay, I got it.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. Okay. Here we go. We're gonna watch this video real quick. All right.
This is the office of Todd Hammersfield. And like most of Canada's film and media industries, Todd's studio is mostly straight and white. Todd tends to avoid that topic, but it's not Todd's fault. Todd didn't personally spend the last century making it nearly impossible for BIPOC and LGBTQ plus folk to pursue careers in this industry, or at least I don't think Todd did. Did you, Todd? But he did benefit from the structure, and that's why we need Todd's help now. By pledging to check their privilege, Todd Studio can now help fund programs to finally create a more diverse talent pool. And Todd, you can stop hiding behind this plan. What?
Actually, I'm in the vents.
Oh!
There you are. I was looking all over for you.
Stop hiding from our industry's lack of diversity and pledge to help POV fix it. Go to checkyourprivilege.ca.
They don't make vents like they used to.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Look, that's pretty cringe if you ask me. But this was played during a hockey game.
But you know what though? It's not surprising because Canada is literally just as crazy as America is right now. So
just
yeah.
I heard
this tracks.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's still hope for America.
Yeah, Canada's gone.
Well, Canada's not real, and they keep trying to make themselves seem real by being like edgelords about everything. But they keep proving they're not a real country when they do stupid stuff like that. Because no real actual country could ever do something and think that was a thing. Like black people have been working in the industry for decades. Like they haven't been gatekeeping people out of the industry based on skin color. Like for forever, we've had female directors, gay directors. John Waters, I know he's independent, but he's like acclaimed within the film industry.
HBO literally gave Issa Rae a show as soon as she walked through the door.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
As soon as she walked through the door, she got insecure.
The opportunities have been out there, and it's like they want to keep playing the victim card. Like, okay, if you haven't gotten an opportunity, there's probably something you're doing wrong because the opportunities are aplenty. You know, there's plenty of opportunities for black actors, black directors, black writers, black producers to get out there and flex. And check it out. If you aren't getting the opportunity, then go independent. You know, at that point, just go independent and just do your own thing and say, you know what, F Hollywood, I'm not going to worry about these cats anymore. I'm going to get out there and get it done myself. I'm not going to sit up here and beg, please, like, little orphan Annie or whatever. Please, can you give me something? No, I'm going to go out there and get it for myself. The opportunities are aplenty. Yeah, I get so tired of that argument because, look, whether or not, you make it or you fail in this world, it's really up to your energy, your attitude, your drive, your determination. And if you don't get it done, that's on you. And if you're waiting for somebody to hand you something, like, come on, bro, get out of here with that. Why are you waiting on somebody to hand you something? You should be glad. That's why I love Ripper. Okay, that's why I love Ripper because he's not making any excuses. Hey, man, let me get out there and do this myself. Okay, I want to see a change in this industry. I'm gonna go out there and get it done. That's it. That's all. That's all you got to do. You don't have to sit up there and lean on your skin color as you're some sort of a victim, and that's why I hate when they say this stuff because it makes black people look like, oh man, please somebody help me. And it's like, yo, you got the opportunities. There's just no reason for this nonsense. No reason whatsoever. It makes, and it tells me what they see in you. They see that, oh, I need to help you. I need to give you a leg up. You're not going to make it on your own. You're not.
And it's so pandering. It's
insulting, man.
I say this, and again, Chris, you've heard me say this before, man. And you know what? I'm sorry, but it's going to get a little political. Liberal racism is a different kind of racism. It's more insulting. It's more insulting, right? You know what it is? It's a racism of low expectations.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It presumes you're not as good as white people.
We're not smart enough.
Right.
We're not, we're not talented enough. So therefore, it's their job to help us. Right?
I got to do it.
I will tell you.
Okay.
I will tell you.
I got to hand you something. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Alan. Go ahead.
I'll just say, if you are black and you can actually write a good movie, Hollywood is waiting for you, and you will make a lot of money. To me, it's about supply and demand. I think, talking about low expectations, I think we're not striving for excellence. I don't think people of color are striving for excellence. And I think if you reach that point of excellence where you are at that Spike Lee level, you will find work and you will make money. You'll make lots of money in Hollywood. And this goes to any person of color, any minority.
I wish I knew where to apply for this because, I'm not getting no money.
But it's about working on your craft, right? It's about beating on your craft. It's about focusing on getting better. Taking the time to actually learn the skills of the craft that you're trying to achieve. I think what a lot of these cats want is they just want fast forward me to the, to the front of the line instead of actually, no, I'm going to grind my way up to the top. You know, I'm gonna work on my craft. I'm gonna become a better writer, a better actor, a better producer, a better director, whatever it is that you got to be. I'm just gonna get better, and I'm gonna beat the people at their own game. That's to me, that's a story I can rock with. I can't rock with these stories that they're, oh, I'm a poor little victim or poor me. I can't do that, man. I cannot do that. I'm tired of it. I'm over it. Okay. It's part of the reason why I even wanted to start this channel is to start talking about that stuff because I'm sick of it. Okay. We need more people out there saying, yo, regardless of there's going to be obstacles across the board for everybody in every industry. It doesn't matter what you're trying to be good at. It's going to be obstacles. Can't use race as the obstacle. You just got to be better than the next guy. That's it. Just be better than the guy next to you. And then when you're better than that guy, be better than the guy next to them. And then you just keep going and going until you get better. And again, if you get slammed, the doors keep getting slammed in your face. All right, cool. I'm gonna go independent. Because
see, man, you are way more optimistic than I am when it comes to the film industry because they don't want good stories.
Yeah, they don't. Then go independent. Go independent, Dante. Dante, go independent. Yeah. Just say, you know what? I'm gonna do it myself. Okay, I'm gonna do it myself. I'm gonna grind up. I got a couple of friends
my point is that you have to do that. Right now. At this point now, if you're good, you got to make your own stuff. You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Hollywood doesn't want good material.
No, they don't. No, they don't. If you don't mind me chilling for a quick second, Chris,
please.
That's why me and my buddy started our studio, Epic Verse. We have not launched officially, but we're an independent company. Me and my buddy have been talking about this for years. We're like, yo, man, I mean, we love movies. We always wanted to make movies, but we realized, like, if you're to get in the industry, you know, you got to fit you have to check the right boxes. And if you're not writing or talking the right talk, they're not interested. If I'm not talking about my victim narrative, talking about how difficult it is for me to be a black man in the world today and stuff, they don't want to buy my stuff. And I know that. And here's the thing, when I was learning about how to do screenwriting and when I was learning about how to make movies and stuff like that, I had a mentor who was a black woman who told me flat out, like, listen, right now, you're not going to find a lot of work. Right now, people like me are going to find a lot of work because I know what they're looking for. And we've heard that. And they tell you, listen, right now, these are the people that are going to get the golden tickets to stuff. But these studios are not interested in hiring people that are actually hungry to write unique, interesting stories. They want people that check boxes, that write the stories they want them to write, and push movies out like the Magical Society or the American Society of Magical Negroes. That's the kind of stuff that they've been asking for. So me and my buddy just decided, you know what, we'll do it ourselves. And you know, making movies is very difficult. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of learning. There's a massive learning curve to it.
And it's very expensive.
And they're very expensive. But the other thing is, when you start learning how to do it, you also learn that you can also do things that Hollywood is going, yeah, $25 million to make this movie. I'm like, you don't need $25 million to make a good movie. Like the reality is there's a lot of mess right now, and there's a lot of bloat, and there's a lot of weird stuff going on in Hollywood that doesn't make any sense. And I think some of these, these studios, they have people that are fighting for their jobs because they inserted themselves into a situation and said, hey, here's a problem that you need to solve. You need more representation in this, or you need more of this, or you need more of that. And then you find out that these people have jobs and make, $15 million a year to sit in an office and say, where are all the black people in this movie? Or where are the women working behind the cameras and stuff? And all that stuff is nonsense, man. You don't need that. Women can make movies, men can make movies, black people can make movies, white people can make movies. We already know that. That's not even the issue. It's just that Hollywood has gate-kept everybody out, and now they're only allowing people that check the boxes that make them feel good about themselves into the industry to do it. So, yeah, me and my buddy Josiah decided to do it ourselves, and we were working really hard. And here's the thing. We cast people based on your abilities. We have, like, crazy enough, when you start actually just working with people in the industry, there's a lot of diversity out there. I didn't have to go out of my way to be like, yo, no white people allowed, or, oh, we need more. I don't have to say like any of that. We have people that work for us that are very talented individuals that have a lot of experience and been going like, yeah, it just never worked out for me or whatever. I'm like, well, cool. Come work with us because you're talented. You obviously can do it. And so, yeah, man, I mean, I absolutely agree with you. I think independent's the way to go. And I think that that's what's going to be the driving force in the industry in the next 10, 15 years. It's going to be independent filmmakers that are going to be doing it themselves for a lot cheaper and with a lot more talent, because the thing is, they're driving talent out of the industry in droves right now.
Yeah.
You have directors that do not know how to direct movies. You have even directors of photography that don't know how to do anything unique with the camera, any of that. They just follow what they've been told. A lot of them will just find it. That's why even this movie like is not unique. Nothing about it is special. I would have loved to have been like, well, at least they tried some weird stuff with the camera, or the filmmaking is interesting. But none of that's happening. There's no mark of uniqueness on any of these films coming out anymore. You know?
Yeah,
So,
the kind of stories Hollywood wants to buy now is my pathology, right?
Yes.
Like those are the kind of movies that Hollywood wants to make.
Yeah, it's message focused. It's not entertainment focused. That's the biggest problem. They have demons. I guess they're trying to slay over there in Hollywood, things that have happened in the past in Hollywood that they feel guilty about. And they got, let's put out a message movie. Let's get all these messages out there instead of actually just entertaining the crowd. You know, which is their job. 100%. Their job is to entertain us.
I mean, in all fairness, though,
bro, I support you 100%.
I appreciate that.
But in all fairness, there is DEI and stuff behind the scenes going on with studios, so that is a part of it that we do have to talk about at some point. I mean, I'm sure there might be studios out there that want good material, but there's a lot of DEI stuff that's being pushed pretty hard on them. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, it's convoluted, man. It's real convoluted. And
let me amend my original statement by saying the big Hollywood studios don't care, don't give a crap. But I can tell you, it's the smaller production companies that if you are talented and you can actually write and you can direct, they will hire you. They will seek you out. They will find. You're not going to make millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, but you will make a living, and you'll make a good living, and you will be creatively fulfilled at the same time.
And as we've seen, Alan, like there are a lot of people in the industry that supposedly weren't making a living on those millions and tens of millions of dollars that they were doing. So it's like, what is going on that you're like, hey, we're not making a living wage, or we're not making enough money to live here. It's like, okay, then something's wrong. Like, like other people can live on, $200,000-$300,000 a year, and you guys can't. There's something wrong in your industry when that's the case. Like the reality is, like, I would. It's funny because I have met so many different people in the industry, and specifically actors, but across the board, that will work for significantly less than the going rates if they get to make something creative, or they get to do something fun. Because I can tell you this now, like, one of our guys on our team, our director of photography, who was actually at South by Southwest, and he's a really awesome dude. He told us, like, he's like, I haven't got to work on like a creative project in a long time. He was so excited when we're like, yo, we got this movie idea, and he's like, oh my god, like, it's a creative project, dude. If I could do creative all the time, I would, because like a lot of times they just funnel them into corporate stuff, and they just work on commercials and stuff, and a lot of people don't realize these studios do that. A lot of these studios are in charge of things like that too, and like these people don't get to do anything creative. They have to follow a script. They have to follow an idea, and they have to follow like a standard, and they don't ever get to try any risks or do anything fun with movies and stuff. In the independent scene, there's all kinds of wild concepts and styles, and that's where we're going to get new directors, and that's where we're going to get new actors, and that's where we're going to get people that actually care about the craft to make good stuff again.
You know why though? Because when you're making an independent film, you don't have a lot of money, so you have to be creative.
Yeah.
Yes,
you have to be creative.
Yeah, you do. You
really. A lot of time it's your money or your friend's money, so they're not dictating, your creative decisions because they have the money.
Absolutely.
Yep. Well, that's a good thing about the article that you had brought up, Chris, is now that we see in the contraction coming from Hollywood, it's just going to open it up, now to independent creators. Hey, here's your time. Here's your opportunity, to get out there and flex and show them what you got.
Yeah.
A couple quick comments. Epic Mike and I hung out in Michigan when I was there last year and showed me some of what he's working on. He told me like some of the process. It is toe and toe a big budget looking film made for almost nothing, with production value, which is casting and sets, looks incredible. So what I saw for what I can't wait. And also, by the way, Mike, when that is coming out, we want to have you back. We'll have you back to be able to just discuss that. And then I want to talk to you about, you have a whole rollout plan. You don't want to talk about it here, but I think there are other ways. I think the more places you can be, the better. A couple housekeeping things real quick. A baggage claim was supposed to be on today, couldn't make it. So apologies. She's on the thumbnail. We'll fix that. We have over 1,200 people watching live. I'm not sure how many we have on Rumble, but thank you to everyone out there. We appreciate you. Please subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, give us a like. We appreciate it. Rumble, we've got 55 people on Rumble. Maybe we weren't featured today, but we see you. We see you. And I thank you. And I want to say, just to sum up what you guys were talking about, for me, one of the best speeches ever given at South by Southwest by Mark Duplass about indie film. Go look it up. 2016 South by SXSW, Mark Duplass. Look up his speech. I will watch that once a year for inspiration. His main point of the speech is the cavalry isn't coming. No one is going to help you. No one is going to give you an opportunity. You make your opportunity. You do the thing. And if you can make a movie just make it with your phone. If you can, like, the whole thing is what you've got to do is just take the resources you currently have and just do the best thing you can with what you've got, because everyone's waiting for the magical, I'm going to get my investor or I'm going to do this. It's like, no, not going to happen. Investor, pipe dream. But make one thing. They made a movie. The Duplass brothers' career started with this little indie movie they made. Came out in the early 2000s. It used to be on Netflix. I don't know where it is. It's called The Puffy Chair. It's a weird road movie where a guy buys a chair off eBay for his dad's birthday, and it's an ugly chair, this puffy chair. And he goes on a road trip with his girlfriend, and they're having relationship issues, and it's all about, let's get this chair. Lots of twists and turns, really good acting. Mark Duplass put himself in the movie along with his brother Jay. Really good indie film, and check out that speech. And then also I want to say we are sponsored by Criticless. Go to criticless.com. It is a free speech platform, basically a social network for opinions about movies. It's not for professional critics per se, but Alan did a little demo. Go there. You don't have to be a professional, but you can post links if you do reviews on YouTube. You can post links. Derek, you should sign up. Promote your stuff on there.
I will. Criticless. I didn't know anything about it. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Yeah.
Criticless. You know what? You have an opinion about movie. You're a professional critic. You're just someone who loves movies. Post your opinions on criticless.com, and we appreciate them for their sponsorship. A couple things. We're doing a big show on Wednesday. Going to have our first review of the movie Immaculate with Sydney Sweeney, who Dante and I saw.
That movie was wild, man.
Okay.
It was wild.
We're going to talk about it on Wednesday. Also, we're going to talk about the Sweet Baby Inc. situation, because I'm going to reveal some things people don't know about me, because I was in the video game industry in the 90s. I was at a video game magazine, and I worked for a video game company. And I've got a lot of thoughts about what's been happening with Sweet Baby Inc. I've been saving it so we can put our Immaculate review on one epic show. That's on Wednesday. And then Friday, we're talking Ghostbusters, and Alan will be there the whole time.
Hell yeah.
So, we're going to talk about 3 Body Problem too, which I think comes out Wednesday or Thursday.
Thursday, yes.
Yeah, I think we'll talk about it on Friday then. We'll talk about that Friday. Okay. And I'm excited to talk about that with all of you. And before I get to our final chat, comments, and questions here, I just want to thank everybody for coming here for Film Threat. We're a little bit different.
This is Film Threat!
And, a lot of you were not here at the beginning. We got a major endorsement for the show.
March 15th, a movie will be released by the name of the American Society of Magical Negroes. The movie will be reviewed by Chris Gore and his guests of experts on the show, titled Versus. Let me just say, to quote President Biden, if you do not like this movie, you are not black.
Film Threat's getting huge.
Declan Lyons for 20 euros. Thank you. That's very generous. I don't know when this transformed into the MN trope, but the
magical Negro trope.
Yeah.
But storytelling is filled with tales of kindness from people who owe nothing to those they help, right back to the Good Samaritan. What this movie does is disgusting. I mean, all the way back to, the tale of the mouse that takes the thorn out of the lion's paw
Yeah.
I mean, it's an old, that's, an old fairy tale. So there you go. More here. Flex Honcho for 5 says, I guess David Alan Grier didn't learn anything from being on In Living Color. I love that show.
He was more edgy back then, man.
Yeah, I like it. Was edgy. It was it was sort of a hipper version of SNL, I thought. Spidey Sensei 72 for 8 says, go see Love Lies Bleeding. Like Alan said, it's a superior movie and needs more eyes on it.
That's the Kristen Stewart movie, right?
Yeah, I might go see that. This week. JWT6577 member for 5 says, generational sin, no hope of forgiveness, only eternal punishment for being cast out. This is the worst cult ever. Thank you for that comment. And final super chats here from Frank Zanka for 499. I'm a line producer with 18 years of experience in film and TV. Let me know if Epic Suisse needs any help. Epic.
My dyslexia is killing me right now.
What's that? I know.
You can hit me up on Twitter. _epic_Mike. You can always send me a DM. I'm always open to talking to people.
Yeah. Look up Epic Mike.
Yeah.
And then question for Epic Meek. Epic Meek? What? Look, first of all, I know I get typos in some of my things.
No, that's on purpose. That's a Krista.
Yeah.
That's a Krista.
Is that a Krista thing? Okay.
She called me Meek one time and it stuck. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of cute. Louis Cuevas for 10 says, question for Epic Meek. What are your qualifications for making movies? Did you go to school? Do you have family in the industry? Or are you self-taught super nerd?
No family in the industry, mostly self-taught. I did go to, there's a program in LA that fortunately, thanks to COVID, became remote. It's called Act One. It's a Christian company started by a lady named Barbara Nicolosi. And they do courses on how to learn how to do screenwriting and how to become a screenwriter, also how to get into the industry and how to do that. They also teach you how to do producing, all that stuff. They give a crash course on it. I was very thankful to be able to get into that program and go through that. But I was passionate about it before then, and I do a lot of studying on my own behind the scenes, just learning how to do movie stuff.
Some of the best people were self-taught. Quentin Tarantino dropped out of college dropped out of school in 8th grade. He never finished high school. Okay. So and you know what? There are multiple correct pathways going to film school. That's one pathway. Being self-taught and working at a video store and reading and going to see a lot of movies. That was Tarantino. But there really is there's no
one path.
There's no one path. There's no right path.
Right.
Sorry, Dante, I interrupted you.
Oh no, I was just going to say that. Look, man, you guys are living in a time where honestly, and you don't need film school anymore. You really don't.
Nope.
You can learn everything you need to learn about filmmaking off of YouTube. There's a video for everything on YouTube, man. And I mean, obviously you learn by doing, right? So until you pick up a camera and just start filming, none of this matters, right? It's all theoretical.
10,000 hours.
Same thing with writing. If you haven't written a script, you know what? I challenge you. If you've never written a script and you're trying to get into screenwriting, write the worst script you can write. Just try to write a bad script, but finish it. Write 120 pages of a bad script. And finish it, and you will have a finished script. And I guarantee you, by the time you finish that script, it's not going to be nearly as bad as you think it is, even though you're trying to write a bad script. But you just got to do it.
And that's 100% it. And that was in that program, they have you start at the very beginning with a concept and you write an outline for a script. Because they said, if you get done with a script, you're ahead of 90% of the people that want to get into filmmaking and never write a script. It happens a lot, and you'd be amazed at how many people want to do it and never have sat down and just actually wrote a script out or sat down and turned on a camera and just tried to film something. A lot of people both. Everybody said nobody's going to hand you anything. Nobody's going to go, sure, why not try? There's a 1 to 10 trillion chance that somebody will find you and go, sure. But most of the time, those people worked really hard and were prepared and ready to go into it. And like I said, there's no one path, but you actually need to know what you're doing and you need to learn. And I learned a lot on YouTube. There's a lot of people on YouTube that said, hey, I wasted a ton of money going to film school and I didn't do anything with it. So just watch my videos and I'll tell you how to do it without going to classes. There's a ton of that stuff and it's everywhere. And there's a lot of people that want to see other people succeed because they don't either have the energy or the drive, or maybe it just didn't work out for them and they're trying to give it to somebody else. there's not a better time to get into creating than now. This is the time to do it.
This is the best time to do it.
And by the way,
drive, determination, and perseverance. That's what's going to lead the way. Drive, perseverance, and perseverance. Okay, you are determined to get this done. It doesn't matter. You know, like you can learn how to be a better writer. You know, if you just keep breaking, working on your craft. If you just keep staying up late, writing, sticking with it, not giving up. That's really what it's about in this day and age, because look, you see what Hollywood's doing. You guys see what Hollywood's doing. Hollywood has nothing for us right now. They have nothing for us. Okay. Well, they got some stuff, but overall, if you are a hard worker, if you are determined and this is something that you want to do, just go out and get it because it's there. The technology is improving day by day. Now you can shoot a thing on your phone. Okay. You can shoot a movie on your phone. Like there's nothing that's stopping you. YouTube, you can open up a YouTube account and go and do it right now and shoot a film and throw it up on YouTube and see what happens and then get feedback. And they say, okay, well, the feedback said that I wasn't a good writer. Okay, let me start working on my craft a little bit more. The opportunities are there. Okay, there's no excuse for anybody. If you want to do it, the independent market is wide open.
And by the way, to illustrate that, someone made a movie during this show on their phone. I'm going to show it to you right now.
Here we copyright strike.
Oh my God. What is happening? Alan, you look great. Yeah.
I told you I have moves.
It was vetted.
I have moves and I have ice cream. So
okay. Some comments here real quick. Argentum said there was a comedy trio at my community college that titled themselves Slurs for Blacks, Asians, and Mexican immigrants. I am not typing the actual words. They were funny as hell. SG Knox says entertainment can also challenge your beliefs and make you reflect on things, but that's different than just preaching.
100%.
Professor Fear says they don't want talented Black people. They want Black people they can control. I would say they just want to control, like Nia DaCosta, who did Captain the Marvels. I actually think she's good. I mean, I listened to her commentary for the Marvels. She seems like she really knew what she was doing. But she was so controlled. You could tell she was trying to thread the needle of giving the studio what they wanted, and she didn't really have a lot of power to push back.
She didn't want to burn a bridge in that.
Well, I think she made the right move to leave and go make another movie. The Introspect M says they don't actually care about the craft. They just like the idea of being a creative, but can't or won't do the work. Solomon Thornton, hey, always good to hear from you. That's exactly what my professor told me. You should hold out on Hollywood for a while and find people that have the same interests as you and go indie.
I would say don't do Hollywood. Don't go Hollywood.
Yeah, don't even go Hollywood at all. Fernando says that's why I'm now watching foreign movies. I want new stuff with good stories, and the West is lost on that. 100%. Vladimir Planton for $4.99. How do people nowadays make connections with creative people to collaborate with without going to art or film school? Social media, different
Twitter,
types of groups.
Instagram.
Instagram. Look up, follow film groups. There are lots of other groups. One for if you're a screenwriter looking to connect with a producer, inktip.com is a good one. There's also Lit Reactor for writers, LIT reactor.com. That's created by Chuck Palahniuk. And there's more resources. Stage 32, look up Stage 32. Yep. That is Stage 32 is people in the crafts. And I don't know if you just tell people, I swear, if you just tell someone you're making a movie, I will unsolicited via LinkedIn, I will unsolicited get composers reaching out to me. Yep. People below the line, people looking for work. So look, LinkedIn, Stage 32, Lit Reactor, Ink Tip. Check that out, Vladimir. I hope that helps. And Mexican Iron Man, hey, love you, Mexican Iron Man. This show was outstanding. Bravo to all of you, and thank you.
Yeah, you're right, man. It's just the Hollywood is drying up out here in LA. There's not a lot of work going around for these cats. So I mean, you know, you you throw your name out there and say, hey, I'm making a movie, you're probably going to get a lot of people reaching out to you.
Yeah.
There are film communities almost in every city.
Yep.
Yes. And there you go. So we're gonna that's I think we're good. I think that it's important that we thank everyone here. Thank you to our mods, Lord Thoth, Mexican Iron Man, Latino Slant. I want to thank everyone who's been on the panel today. The DA, Derek. Also, the links to everyone's channel will be in the description. Epic Mike, look him up and look up Epic Verse. It's coming. I've seen stuff that Mike's working on. It's going to be amazing. Verbal Riot is back. Check out Dante's work on Verbal Riot Show. His review of the Magical Society of
American Society of
the American Society of Magical Negroes is there, which is why, speaking of that title, that's why I brought so many great YouTubers here. That's what I brought to talk about this. I was hoping that pause was going to last, but I guess not. And Alan has his own channel, Ing the Merciless. It's a gaming channel.
Gaming? Wow, really?
Gaming.
Yeah.
Doing the game.
We're doing Marvel's The Avengers.
So if you want to watch Alan game away, you can do it. And I want to thank you, the audience. Great questions, great conversation. Part of what I want to do with Versus is bring together a new group of people to talk about things. The group format and group discussion format on YouTube is very popular. I want to introduce you to some of my favorite folks, and we're doing that every Monday on our other 2 live streams. Check out filmthreat.com. Alan, did I forget anything? Did I thank you?
Yeah,
did I
did.
Ms. P. Coffee? Did I thank Ms. P. Coffee and Glenn? All right. Well, there's one last thing to do, and that's to say goodbye. See you, folks. Versus on Mondays. Later.